At breakfast, Ethan was telling his sister Charlotte about Lily. The sweet girl who had just turned 18 was always cheerful and couldn't stand seeing anyone unhappy. She was giving her full attention to her brother. Ethan hadn't noticed that his mother, Victoria, had been standing behind him for a while. With her sharp facial features, short blonde hair, and a slightly old-fashioned but specially designed cream-colored suit made by the country's top designers, she took her place at the table with the presence of a queen. This authoritative woman had been forced to take over a vast inheritance and the management of 4 major companies after her husband's untimely death. As she sat down, she looked at Ethan with a hint of reproach. "So, you've fallen in love, and who, exactly, is going to handle your responsibilities at the company during this little romance, Mr. Ethan?" Although Ethan had never wanted the position of chief financial officer, he had found himself responsible for managing the finances of the companies due to the education his mother had insisted on and her constant pressure afterward. He was very good at his job, but his mother's plans for him went far beyond just managing his career. She envisioned something bigger, preparing him to eventually take over everything. She dreamed of uniting him with the daughter of Mr. Jordan, the owner of a major technology company, merging their families and businesses, and perhaps one day bringing everything under a single empire. Victoria knew very well that if she opposed this relationship directly, it would be much harder to separate him from it. It was the first time she had seen Ethan this happy. "Son, there's no harm in having a little fun, but don't forget, there's a different future waiting for you." Ethan sighed, expecting the usual lecture, but his mother didn't continue. Still, Victoria had already begun to wonder who this girl was. As soon as Ethan left for work, she picked up her phone, called the head of security, explained the situation, and asked him to investigate the girl. That day, Ethan finished his work early and left before the end of his shift. The moment he got into his car, he sent Lily a voice message. "Come to the location I'll send you when you leave work." When Lily read the message, her heart started racing and her cheeks flushed. "What should I write? Should I accept?" she thought, but her fingers had already begun typing. "Okay, I'll come." As Lily approached the location, she felt slightly nervous but remained determined. She had left the city and turned onto a mountain road. The tall pine trees lining both sides made it almost impossible to see the sky. When she was about 300 meters away, the dense trees suddenly ended, opening into a clearing. Chandeliers hung from the trees, softly illuminating the area. Ahead stood a table covered in white cloth, 2 chairs, and Ethan waiting beside them. Ethan walked over to her car and opened the door. "I thought you wouldn't come, Lily." He took her hand and led her to the table. As they sat down, a waiter approached and began pouring their wine. It was a hidden corner tucked into the mountains outside the city. There was no better place to watch the full moon blending with the city lights. After gazing at the view for a while, Lily turned to Ethan. "If I had known a view like this was waiting for me, I would have done everything I could to get here sooner." When Ethan signaled the waiter, a slow song began to play. He stood up and extended his hand. "May I have this dance?" Lily took his hand shyly. "I'm dancing under the moonlight with an amazing man. It feels like I'm in a fairy tale," she thought. That moment had come. Ethan slowly leaned toward her. Lily closed her eyes and let herself fall into his arms. The song had ended, but they were still standing there, kissing. Neither Ethan nor Lily wanted that moment to end. When Lily returned home, it was past 11 at night. As she entered, she felt as if she wasn't walking, but floating on clouds. Her parents were already asleep. She went to her room and threw herself onto the bed. Did this night really happen, or was it a dream? With that thought, she drifted off to sleep. A week later, the head of security handed Victoria an envelope. "Here is the information you requested," he said before leaving the room. Inside were Lily's photo, her education, where she worked, Her family's financial situation, everything prepared like a resume. Victoria couldn't accept that her son was involved with someone so ordinary. She had to do something. "I need to get my son away from this parasite," she muttered, crumpling the papers and throwing them into the trash. Ethan was now spending almost every day with Lily. Sometimes Emma, Joe, and Ryan joined them. As they got to know Ryan better, it became clear that beneath his rich, arrogant appearance, he was actually quite gentle. His behavior was a kind of defense mechanism. As the days passed, Victoria had her son followed, hoping the relationship would end, but instead, she witnessed it growing even stronger. Lily worked in the sales team of an automotive parts company. That day, for the first time, the sales manager called her into his office. When she entered, Sam was reviewing a sales report on his computer. He glanced at her. "You'll be accompanying me to an important business dinner tonight. Since you've been in contact with the client before, your presence is necessary." "Tonight?" she repeated, thinking of her plans with Ethan. "Maybe someone else could—" "No," Sam interrupted. "That's not possible. You're coming." With no choice, she agreed and left the room. When Lily and Sam entered the restaurant, she looked around in surprise. It was completely empty. "I guess the food here isn't very good. Maybe we should have chosen somewhere else," she thought. Sam smiled and led her to a table by the window. Pulling out her chair, he gestured for her to sit. A waiter stood ready to take their order. Sam quickly ordered for both of them. "But shouldn't we wait for the clients? Wouldn't this be a bit strange for them?" Lily asked. "No," Sam said. "They'll join us after another meeting. I thought it would be better if we started eating first." After a few glasses of wine, Lily began to feel slightly dizzy. Throughout the meal, a middle-aged man continued playing the piano. Sam stood up and took Lily's hand. "Let's dance." Before she could object, he pulled her to her feet and held her closely. Lily was irritated by his presumption, but she couldn't protest because he was her manager. "It's time for you to be promoted to senior specialist, Lily," he said, and at that moment, she felt his hand slide lower on her waist. Her mind went blank. Breathing heavily like an enraged bull, she suddenly pushed him away and slapped him hard across the face. Sam stood there, stunned, holding his cheek. Lily grabbed her bag and rushed out of the restaurant. The only thing he managed to say after her was, "Lily, you misunderstood." The next day, Lily didn't go to work. She sat at her computer, still furious, and sent her resignation along with an explanation to the HR department. She was unemployed now, but that was fine. "At least I'll have some time to find a new job," she thought, remembering her small savings. Then she got ready to meet her friends and talk things out. That morning, Victoria was unusually cheerful. Charlotte, her younger daughter, was the first to arrive at the table. She kissed her mother and sat down. "Mum, what's the reason for your happiness this morning?" "You'll find out soon, my dear," Victoria said, glancing at the envelope beside her. When Ethan arrived, he immediately noticed his mother's mood. Victoria handed him the envelope. "I hate to say this, but once again, I was right." When Ethan opened it, he saw a photo of Lily dancing closely with a man. His eyes filled with tears. His mother kept talking, but he couldn't hear a word. He tore the photo apart, jumped up from the table, and stormed out of the house. When he called Lily, he was sitting in his car, having finished half a bottle of whiskey. "Where are you?" he demanded angrily. Lily couldn't understand what was happening. "I'm at Zoe's place. Is something wrong?" Before she could say anything else, he hung up. No matter how many times she called back, he didn't answer. Half an hour later, someone knocked on Zoe's door. Lily rushed to open it. As she tried to hug Ethan, he stopped her. "You're just like everyone else. Was money all you cared about?" "Don't ever show up in front of me again." Lily burst into tears. "Why are you saying this? What did I do, Ethan?" she asked, her voice trembling. With a look full of hatred, Ethan said, "Don't ever show your face to me again, you gold-digging hypocrite. and left without even looking back. Lily collapsed where she stood, not understanding what she had done wrong. 5 months later, Lily had finally stopped trying to call Ethan. Every attempt had failed. It was as if an invisible wall was keeping her from reaching him. She tried to adapt to her new job and think about him less. But as her belly grew, she couldn't get him out of her mind. The cheerful Lily she once was felt very far away now. One Monday morning, as Lily stepped out of her house and walked toward her car to go to work, a pair of eyes was watching her. No. Is she pregnant? Could that be my baby? Then another thought followed immediately. No, it can't be mine. Who knows who the father is? Ethan couldn't take a single step forward. His pride wouldn't allow it.